What's the cloud? Okay, we are recording. Hello, welcome to episode 369 of the Self-Help Podcast with me, Ed Lamb, and my good pal, Sean Overwood. How are you doing, Sean?
I'm doing very well. How are you?
I'm all right. There's a lot going on in the world. I'm just, as ever, man, it's hard to clear that inbox. It's hard to stay on top of stuff.
You look a bit stunned at the moment.
Yeah, I've been doing back-to-back online workshops with some local community groups over the last couple of nights, and
Right.
yeah, I shouldn't tempt fate in front of everyone, but we're going to be getting some news in the next 24 hours about some funding for my new Rethink biz, which might be life-changing stuff as well. So if that comes in, you might not see me for a few years. I think I'll just be hiding under a rock.
Well, in the Caribbean or something.
Yeah. Well, yeah, we're allowed to hop on a plane soon. Summer's back on, isn't it?
Yeah, it's scary that though. It's are we going to spike next?
I don't know. I think we might get a little. I don't know. I'm not sure we're going to spike. We might get little rises here and there. Maybe we will get a mad spike. I don't know, man. It's quite a dangerous game, though, isn't it? And it's
yeah. And we won't know for the next 2-3 weeks the outcome of that.
I know that's the. I mean,
whether we're going to get an immediate spike, whether it's going to be the October-November spike, with the flu season.
That is the. I don't use this word lightly, but that is the beauty of this virus, isn't it? It's such a clever, crazy organism that it's just got us boxed in. The amount of time it takes for it to show its face. By that point, it's too late.
The science press is now talking about a follow-up virus that's beginning to appear in China, which is related to pigs. It's like a swine flu kind of virus.
I didn't have the guts to read that article. Yeah, it just I haven't got the mental capacity for that right now. But yeah, flip it, heck.
I don't know whether it's to do with my kind of psychomedical kind of background, but I'm fascinated by the science and the biology in it all. So I dive into articles like that, and I'm thinking, well, because for an Ayurvedic point of view, there's a lot of stuff in that as well. It's interesting. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, it's fascinating times, that's for sure. But we hope you're all doing well. liveinthepresent.co.uk is our website for all the show notes and links. All previous episodes on there as well. The iTunes feed is working now again. I can still report it's still up and running, so you can subscribe on there and various other platforms that we're on. And leave us a comment or share it with a friend, which I haven't asked for a while, but yeah, we still do appreciate the comments and the sharing of this podcast. We're talking about lying today, aren't we, Sean? Because you put on a Facebook post that kicked off a little bit, so we'll come on to that shortly. But how's life in the world of the psychotherapist?
Busy, getting busier, and I think that starting to see a lot of the most post-traumatic stresses starting to come out now, and the huge effect of people not being able to get to a doctor or a hospital to be treated for something, who are now in a much worse condition than they would have been had they been able to get there. That kind of stuff. Yeah. Hopefully GPs will be more accessible over the next few weeks. Really neat.
Yeah, I mean, I call my GP. I've got another little skin thing that I think needs just a little looking at. Obviously, didn't go to the GP to the desk to book in. Just phoned up, and I was actually asked. I was sent a link straight away on my phone to send a photo of the thing on my chest that's appeared. And so it's been looked at, and she's called me back to say we don't think it's actually anything to worry about, but we'll get it tested anyway. So quite an interesting process, really, and I don't know if that's the future of medicine, or for certain aspects of medicine is kind of a bit more home diagnosis and a bit more hands-off approach. But like I say, if people are staying at home and not getting things checked out as they might have in the past, that's not going to end well, is it?
The people that I'm dealing with that are in that kind of situation, the people who are older and much more kind of stoic in the way that they are facing things. So they're kind of hunkering down and putting up with stuff to their own detriments, really. So I've got a few people that I can really do with the GP going to see them or them getting to the GP or whatever.
Yeah. Do GPs do Zoom meetings?
Yeah. Yeah, but there are things. The only way that you can tell some things is to be with somebody.
Oh yeah.
You know, you need to be able to actually touch somebody and feel it, and and that at the moment for a lot of people is unacceptable.
You can't shine a light into someone's eye, can you? Yet
No.
Through these things, I know.
Yeah.
These things are quite smart these days, aren't they? Smart watches. They can give a lot.
Yeah.
Face to face is still going to win the day. Yeah. So interesting. And I know pubs and restaurants are opening at the weekend too. Have you got any sense of people or are you going to be going to a pub or a restaurant at the weekend to celebrate, or
no chance? No chance.
It for a while.
Yeah, the biggest fear with all the medical friends I've got is A&E. That there are going to be people. I mean, usually on a Saturday night, you've got a bunch of people that do silly things. Either they drink too much and their body reacts, or they fall over, or they punch somebody, or they get punched, or whatever. And the biggest fear is it's going to be like that with knobs on. And because of the viral issues, then it's like they're going to be in PPE. And how do you deal with these people?
I know. I mean, from my angle, I've been looking at kind of how cities are redesigning and redistributing space from cars, to be honest, and letting restaurants and go out into the street, which is cool. But then, you think about alcohol in general, when consumed excessively, doesn't always lead to good things, does it? And
No.
I don't know, man. I mean, we're going to be swerving it for a while, I think, but it'll be fascinating to observe, I guess, won't it?
Yeah. And it's interesting, that whole thing. I can remember being in Spain and asking for a beer, and it was a beer negra, like a Guinnessy kind of beer. And it comes in a little glass, whereas here it comes in big pints, or in Germany it comes in steins.
They're the worst. Yeah, flipping heck.
Yeah.
I went on a.
We're not good, are we, with the booze? So.
Well, some of us are okay, but yeah. Hard to resist sometimes, isn't it? Let's talk about the episode, because you put.
I'm good. Bexbury, non-alcoholic beer.
You keep that in your consulting room just in case.
Yeah, all the time. Yeah.
That's the trick. I love it. Okay, let's talk about this show, because you put you asked your Facebook pals a very simple question at the weekend, didn't you?
It was interesting, and I worded it deliberately, because I could have said, if someone believes that what they say, are they lying? Right? But I didn't. I deliberately said, if a liar believes what they say, are they lying? And that was the key, just because I was seeing what kind of reaction I get.
You're in a playful mood, hey?
Yeah, and I got a whole lot of people were very energized, not just on the Facebook thing, but people had email conversations with people direct, and a couple of calls, and people were quite excited, and it was that if a liar believes they're telling the truth, are they lying? And that was the key, because I got this woman shouting, if they've got previous, they're a liar.
Well, yeah,
much of it coming up were to do with what people experienced us.
Yeah. Well, no, I mean, I've got a couple of the. I'll put the link to the post in the show notes so you can have a look, and I think you can like Sean's page and get in touch, and it's probably a good way we can kind of kickstart more conversations around podcast episodes. I can't believe it's taken us 369 episodes to realize that, but there's quite a lively chit chat below, and good stuff. So someone put, nope, they are simply wrong. You need to know the truth to lie. And then another commenter put, no, I don't think they are lying at the time. To lie means deliberately act or speak in order to lead someone else to believe something is true when you know it isn't. The lie is completed then the other person actually believes. No, the lie is completed when the other person actually believes something is true and is not true. But if the speaker believes what they are saying is true, it is not lying. That's how I see it. That's how the person sees it. So, yeah, how do you define a lie, Sean?
Well, when I look at it, I see lots of different kinds of lies going on. We are blessed with politicians that we know don't tell the truth. Now, whether we say they're lying or not is a political statement. And the thing is that you have lies of omission and lies of exaggeration, and that kind of stuff is going on. A bit like when you're told that we're doing so many tests every day, and then it turns out that actually we weren't doing the tests, we just sent them out in the post. No, but we added them in as number, that kind of stuff. And it's like, is that a lie? It kind of is and it isn't. Yeah, that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But the bit that fascinates me is, having worked in mental health, psychiatry, when you get people have some conditions, and I mean, Tourette's is the obvious one, but when someone just says what they see. So someone says, bloody hell, you're ugly, you've got a big nose, haven't you? Now, everybody else that's met that person who didn't have Tourette's might also have thought they were ugly, they had a big nose, but they didn't say it. So were they being dishonest? Were they lying? Were they, and if I said, how do I look? You look lovely. And you're actually thinking, God, you've got a big nose. And, are you lying? And I think this whole area is fascinating, because I think there are so many times when people tell nice lies, so they don't want to hurt somebody. Yeah. And is that wrong? Should we be brutal and honest with our feedback to people, or should we lie to kind of soften it? Is it a lie? Yeah, because there's a difference between that kind of lie and the psychiatric lie, like the person with Tourette's or something like that. Or there's the kind of lie where I'm deliberate. I want your money. I want to con you. I want, that it's that kind of stuff. Yeah. And it's like, I think that the world is probably built on lies in many ways. Yeah. And some of those are intentional, some of them aren't. I mean, when someone gets divorced, do you then take them back to when they got married and say, but when you got married, you promised these things, till death us do part, or whatever. So does that mean that now in the divorce state, you're a liar? Or is it that the situation changed so that the parameters that you made that decision in then are no longer applying now? And it's very selective, because some religions would say, no, you can't divorce. You made that pledge. You made that. So you couldn't lie. That has to be it. Yeah.
I'm trying to think of how, if a liar, I can understand the fact that the idea that someone that doesn't know the actual truth, if that thing exists, and says something, they're not lying. They're just speaking their version of the truth. How do we start a person like that says something that's wrong, factually wrong? How do we change their mind? Is it possible?
Well, it depends, doesn't it? Because if the person is open, then yes. If they're fixed, it's a known fact. That's the truth. What happens if there's a bunch of us stood around and an incident happens in the middle? Now, we all see it from a different angle, but our angle is our truth. So from my angle, I could say this happened, and the person directly opposite who saw it from the other side could say, no, it didn't happen like that. It happened. I say, no, it did. Now, who's lying? And the thing, it's the same incident. Is it that for lots of people, what we see of lies is just our version of the truth? It's the way that we saw it. It's a bit like someone in the workplace says, that person bullied me. Now, are they lying when they say that, or did they feel bullied? If the person that was accused of the bullying had no intention of bullying, were they a bully? It's like you're into really interesting areas here, which are all the shades of grey. We get rid of the starkness of black and white. We're into this bit in the middle. And I think that we'd probably all agree that if someone was out to do you bad, to do you harm by lying, then that's a bad thing.
Yeah.
Is it a good thing? I mean, I know people who in cancer diagnosis, they don't want to be told the truth. And sometimes they will actually say to the doctor, don't tell me. If it's bad news, I don't want to know, don't tell me. Yeah.
Is the doctor allowed to not tell them then, or what does the doctor do in that situation?
The doctor might say, well, hasn't got any better at the moment.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like there are ways of saying things, aren't there? But at what point does it become a lie? Yeah, and I think it's so fascinating, because what's a lie for me could be completely fine for you. You know, when we did all the self-discovery stuff, the idea that you'd have feedback sheets that people would say to you, Sean, the way I experience you is, and you might get 20 sheets of paper, yeah, all that kind of stuff. Yeah. Now, the way I see me, I could be biased about the way I see me, and I could be wrong. So that if I see myself as 6'6", bronze and muscular, as I've said in the past, yeah, people might think I'm lying. But if I see myself like that, is that a lie? Or do I have to adjust because everyone else says to me, actually, Sean, you're not that? You know, and it's like, what do you mean? You know, my truth is that I'm who? Yeah. And I think it's a really fascinating area, because it leads right into the issues of parliament and court and judgment about, you know, who does what, where, when, how.
Yeah.
You
know? Well, I've mentioned it before. I think maybe in a recent episode where I've sat. I was away with some pals once, and I was sat next to someone who believed quite vehemently that the Earth is flat, and had quite a long conversation with him. You know, really interesting chat with him. And I guess with someone like that, I mean, I kind of realized early on that I wasn't really going to be able to convince them that it wasn't flat. But personally, you know, obviously, I'm obviously, I don't think the Earth is flat, and I've seen quite a lot of evidence which would suggest that it is spherical-ish. But I am open to the idea that it could be flat, you know. And if someone put me in a rocket and took me up, or convinced me otherwise, you know, I would be willing to change my mind. But some people on issues like that, and political issues as well, they're not willing to have their mind changed. So are people like that just kind of, are they lost, or is there any hope for people like me and him to coexist?
the way that I see it is that when people have a set of beliefs that for me would be lies, like the Earth is flat, then I could actually show them evidence. I did actually try that with a gentleman. It might have been the same gentleman. I did actually try and show them pictures, and the response was, yeah, but that's just a conspiracy. Those have been done. Where do they all come from? They come from NASA. You know, NASA is trying to brainwash you to tell you that the world is round, and it's not. It's flat. So that in that mindset, that set of beliefs, then that is the way that it is. Now, the thing is, to me, it's the issue about, you have to allow the mad people to be mad, but not join the asylum. You need to just let them get on with it. Because the thing for me is that anybody can grow and change and develop, but they have to have those two magical things, which is empathy and insight. And if you don't have any empathy, even just a little bit helps, you know, and a bit of insight, then there's no chance of you changing, because there's no room, there's no wiggle room in there. You
know? And people like that, is there no hope, or can they be taught? Can they learn to be open to new ideas?
My experience, which is the sad bit, is that people like that only usually change at the point of pain. Something really difficult has to happen to them to shift the mindset. You know, because when you get into, it's a known fact, and I've got this set of beliefs, you stop. You know? I guess that one of the questions that it raises, which was one, because Rhea and I had an energetic communication about this subject when we were talking about, you know, doing podcasts, and she said if I wasn't seeing people online, I'd come on the podcast. And she's quite energized by it, as many people were from the Facebook thing. It's the bad people, isn't it? It's the nasty people. Now, it would seem to me that a lot of politicians do lie. You know, I mean, the amount of times I've seen politicians who, on their when they're on the platform and they're trying to get elected, they promise you the world. You know, and when they get there, it's like, and usually the reasons well, now we've seen the state of the books, and we've seen that we can't do any of that. You know, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
And from that point of view, I find it quite difficult to have any faith or belief in our leaders, not just our country, other countries as well, because people are saying what they want, aren't they? But if you think about the countries where there's been ethnic cleansing, where what we do, I mean, it happened with the Nazis, didn't it? What we do is we now say these things about this group of people who were the Jews, that are essentially a load of lies, and we build that up so that everybody now hates them, and it's like the lies and the beliefs go together, and create a whole set of behaviours. And I guess with the Black Lives Matter stuff that's going on now, all those are going on, aren't they?
Massively, yeah. I mean, it's finally come to a head, I guess, hasn't it? And hopefully we can work through it, because it's an issue which has been brushed under the carpet for too long, hey, and needs sorting.
So what's your take then? I mean, I know that there are times when I have lied to be nice to somebody. I've lied to not hurt their feelings, or to not hurt their feelings about another person. Someone said to me, "Oh, but he was a really nice fellow, wasn't he?" And I don't want to say, "Well, no, actually, he was a total bastard because of this, this, and this." I say, "Well, yeah."
I'm the same. I think that there's an article I'm going to link to in the show, my resource, which basically kind of hints that the whole world and the whole of human history is kind of built on lies, and but not always in a nasty kind of way, just in a kind of twisting the truth, just gently kind of way. And when we talk to people, when we communicate, verbally or otherwise, we're trying to convince people one way or another, aren't we, to do something for us, or to help us, or to come along for a journey with us. So, and often that will involve bending of the truth in some way to kind of just to kind of bring someone along with you.
I suppose that's like you take your kid to the hospital to have a procedure, and they say, "Is it gonna hurt?" You say, "Oh, you just feel a little prick," as opposed to, "Yes, you're gonna be screaming and shouting in a minute." That kind of thing. It's like we minimize, we play things down, and that to me would equal kindness. Why would we want to increase people's anxiety by saying, "Oh, this is going to be the worst pain you've ever experienced in your life"?
Yeah,
you don't do that, do you? It's like,
no, and I guess So my answer to the question is a liar. What was it again? Sorry, on Facebook. I'll repeat it.
If a liar believes believes what they say, are they lying?
Well, I guess my answer would be no. But I would just hope that they have room, that person in their kind of character to be told the truth, and to kind of to learn and to backtrack a little bit. A lot of people don't like backtracking on, especially in the world of politics, on all sides. People don't. It's not that they always don't like to apologize. It's almost there's no room for apologies and for changing of minds, because they'll just so quickly get shot down for being weak, or for being wrong, and not being fit as a leader, that kind of thing. So I think quite a lot of the time we put pressure on people to kind of stick to their guns, because changing your mind is a sign of weakness in many ways, I think, isn't it? Which is a shame, I think.
But if you consider something as extreme as the Iraq War, that this country and the Americans went into on the basis that they had weapons of mass destruction, which they didn't have. Now, were we lied to? Were the leaders lied to? Where did these weapons of mass destruction come from? Because when we got there, they weren't there. And that idea of that lie, which was an apparent lie, costs thousands and thousands of lives. Destroyed a country, whatever. And I think that lying is, and I believe that our world is built on lies, and some of them are nice lies and some of them bad lies. but also that whole thing, and I think this is the Black Lives Matters issue, is that history is written by the victors, by the people that are dominant. It's not written by the people who were subservient to whatever it was that happened.
Yeah.
And I think that that's one of the powerful things in the Black Lives Matters movement at the moment, is that the truth is coming out. That all the people that walk past those statues in Bristol or wherever and saw this, amazing old man, incredible. Yeah, now they're starting to really know why the statue's there. And the fact that when we were at school, no one taught us about all the issues about slavery and what happened. That wasn't our curriculum.
Yeah.
And is that a lie of admission? We won't include that in history because it didn't really happen, didn't exist. Is that like the Holocaust deniers? That didn't happen. And I think that this whole area, you can talk about it for the rest of your life. I mean, it's fascinating, but it makes you think, doesn't it? And I did say in the blog, I can remember a nun. I was talking to her, and I was only little, and she was talking to me about people being anxious, and they should kind of pray and stuff like that to settle themselves down with God. And I said about people going out and smoking cigarettes, and she said, "Oh no, cigarettes are good for you because they help you, relax and get rid of the tension and all that kind of stuff." And it's like, forget the cancer and COPD and everything else. From her point of view, they were a good thing.
Well, yeah, actually, there's quite a few posters from around that time with doctors endorsing cigarettes as being healthy. Kind of that kind of propaganda. And you wonder, those doctors that put their name to it. Well, that was before the data and the research was really done on the effects of it, to be honest. So maybe they weren't lying. At the time they were just towing the company line and didn't realise the health, the disaster that was on the horizon.
If you go back in transportation history, feeding into your world of not using motor cars, I was fascinated when I was doing it to realise that electric cars were available, in the 1920s, and they were actually already there, but it was the oil companies that jumped on it and shut it down effectively, and we could have been having electric cars forever. Yeah.
I know. There's a lot of interesting history in that kind of thing about how the motoring world kind of took over the streets, and even things like jaywalking it's an American term really, but it was coined by the motor industry to keep the streets clear of people so that cars could get through. And so the knock-on effect of that was huge in terms of communities and how we congregate in streets to kind of get to know each other. It's mad history. But what's your resource of the week, Sean?
Well, my resource is this: is that I think that we lie about ourselves, and one of my problems in working with people is that people lie about themselves because they see themselves negatively. So they live in this kind of negative self-image, which is actually a lie. It's not real. And I think that if you have got a bit of empathy and insight going for you, if you got just half a dozen people, more if you could, to write down on a piece of paper your name and then the way I experience you is, and you actually read that feedback as a real experience of who you are, I think it would change a lot of the way that people see themselves. It's a bit like when I'm working with a woman who's very slim and nice body, and she's going, "Oh God, I'm so fat," and I'm so, because that's the way she sees herself. And sometimes to see ourselves from another person's perspective gives us an opportunity to re-evaluate who we are. Because I think in a way we do lie to ourselves. But like I say, the lies are negative. You do get the odd person, maybe a bit Trump-esque, who's going around, going, "Hey, look at me, I'm a cool dude, I got sexy hair," that kind of thing, delusional. But most people's self-view is negative, and any way you can start to change that start working on it is to get another point of view. What am I really like? Yeah.
6'6", bronzed, muscular.
Yeah.
Hey? Mm?
Yeah.
Me and you, like the two of us.
Yeah.
All right, see
Well,
ya.
I'll write you one if you write me one.
Yeah, deal. Cool. All right. Yeah, mine's a link to website. Can't remember it. Oh, where is it? nationalgeographic.com. All about lying. It's quite a long form piece. I've just skimmed over to as we were researching it. It looks really interesting. So I recommend having a look at that if you get a sec.
Yeah.
All right, I'm going to stop now because I think my two boys are about to leg it in and start screaming and shouting. So we'll call it a day. But yeah, all happy, Sean? All good?
Yeah. Life's fine.
All
So
right.
I will see you next week. Yeah. And that's not a lie. I will see you next week. Okay.
Guaranteed, man. Yeah, we've done it 369 weeks running, surely.
Bloody not again.
Yeah, you have a good one, Sean.
And you take care.
See you, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.